Tonight is his first appearance in front of an audience.
October 3rd, 2003, the Mirage Hotel and Casino, Las Vegas, Nevada. 1,500 people packed into the theater, cameras rolling. What they were about to witness would end the most successful magic show in history. In 7 minutes of pure terror, a 400-pound white tiger, an illusionist who believed he could communicate with wild animals, and footage that would shock the entire world. But here's what nobody tells you. This wasn't the first time magic turned deadly, not even close. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover will change everything you thought you knew about the world's most dangerous magic acts. Let me take you back, way back. Because to understand what happened to Roy Horn, you need to know that magic has always flirted with death. March 23rd, 1918. Wood Green Empire Theatre, London. A magician named Chung Ling Soo is performing his most famous trick, catching a bullet fired from a rifle. He's done it over 1,000 times. The gun fires, Chung staggers, blood pours from his chest. He collapses on stage and says his final words in perfect English. "Oh my God, something's happened. Lower the curtain." Here's the twist. Chung Ling Soo wasn't even Chinese. He was an American named William Robinson who spent his entire career pretending to be Asian, and that night, the gun malfunctioned. The bullet was real. He died the next morning, but it gets darker. 1919. Sabah, Malaysia. A man called Joe Burris decides he's going to recreate Harry Houdini's famous buried alive escape, except he wants to go bigger. Instead of being buried in dirt, he's going to be buried under 7 tons of concrete and dirt while locked in a plastic coffin. October 31st, Halloween night. The concrete is poured. The weight is too much. The coffin collapses instantly.
You mean it hardens at the lower part? I thought it started at the top.
No, it hardens at the top.
No. In fact, I shouldn't even kid. This is very serious. This is no magic trick like you've been...
Joe Burris is crushed to death in front of a live audience. His brother and manager are watching. The footage exists. It's horrifying. And here's one more, because you need to understand the pattern. 2013. Kent, England. A magician named Steve Frayne, you know him as Dynamo, performs a trick where he's shackled and locked inside a box that's thrown into the River Thames. He's supposed to escape underwater. Except this time, the current is stronger than expected. The shackles jam. He nearly drowns. His safety team pulls him out with seconds to spare. He spends 3 days in the hospital recovering from hypothermia and water in his lungs. Dynamo survived, but he said in interviews later that for about 30 seconds underwater, he genuinely thought he was going to die. 3 examples, 3 brushes with death, 3 reminders that when magic goes wrong, it goes really wrong. So when I tell you what happened to Roy Horn on October 3rd, 2003, understand that he was walking a path that had already claimed lives. Siegfried and Roy weren't just magicians, they were legends, the highest paid entertainers in Las Vegas. Their show cost $30 million to produce.
Someone you like?
They had performed over 5,000 shows, sold out every single night for 14 years straight. But Roy Horn had something different, an obsession, a belief that bordered on the spiritual. He thought he could communicate with tigers, not train them, not control them, communicate with them. Roy would sleep in the same room as 600-pound predators. He'd bottle feed tiger cubs and raise them like children. He called them his brothers and sisters. In interviews, he'd say things like, "I don't just work with these animals, I understand them on a level that goes beyond words." And for years, for thousands of performances, it worked. The tigers would leap through fire, disappear in boxes, reappear across the stage. Roy would put his head in their mouths. The ultimate trust, the ultimate spectacle. The audience ate it up, because watching Roy with those tigers felt like watching something magical, something impossible, until it wasn't. October 3rd, 2003, Roy Horn's 59th birthday. The show starts at 8 p.m. Everything's normal. Siegfried opens with his illusions. Roy comes out with several different tigers throughout the first act. The crowd is loving it. 8:15 p.m. Roy brings out Montecore, a 7-year-old white tiger, 380 pounds of pure muscle. Beautiful animal. He'd performed in the show dozens of times before. Roy begins a routine called the Rapper. It's all about showing his connection with the tiger. He's done this exact routine hundreds of times. But something's different tonight. Multiple witnesses in the audience reported that a woman in the front row stood up. Some say she had big hair. Others say she was wearing something shiny. Whatever it was, Montecore's attention locked onto her. Tigers are predators. Movement triggers their hunting instinct. It's not something you can train out of them. It's in their DNA, Roy notices immediately. He tries to redirect Montecore's attention. He taps the tiger on the nose with his microphone, a signal they'd used thousands of times. That means, "Focus on me." Montecore doesn't respond. Roy taps again, a little firmer. That's when everything goes wrong. Montecore grabs Roy's arm, not gently, the full grip of a predator. Roy says into his microphone, and this is captured on audio, "Release, release." It's a command Montecore's son knows, a command that had worked every single time before. Not tonight. Montecore starts dragging Roy across the stage. Roy's still conscious, still trying to give commands, still believing he can fix this. The audience doesn't understand what's happening yet. Some people think it's part of the show. Others are starting to realize something's very, very wrong. Then Montecore does what tigers do, what they're designed to do. He bites down on Roy's neck. The bite severs an artery. Roy goes limp immediately. Montecore drags him off stage, holding Roy by the neck the way a mother tiger carries her cubs. Stage hands rush in. The audience is screaming now. Complete chaos. People running for exits. Others frozen in their seats. It takes multiple handlers with fire extinguishers and years of training to finally separate Montecore from Roy. 7 minutes. That's how long the whole incident lasted, from the first grab to when they freed Roy from the tiger's jaws. Roy Horn is rushed to University Medical Center. His injuries are catastrophic. The bite severed his vertebral artery. That's the major blood vessel that supplies your brain. He's lost massive amounts of blood. His spine is damaged. He either has a stroke during the attack or immediately after from blood loss to the brain. The doctors give him a 5% chance of survival. 5%. For 48 hours, the world waits. Every news network is covering it. CNN, BBC, every major outlet. Tiger attacks Roy Horn. Vegas magic turns deadly, the show that ended in blood. But Roy survives. Multiple emergency surgeries, weeks in critical condition, months of recovery. He loses significant motor function on his left side. His speech is affected. He'll never walk the same way again. He'll never perform again. The show closes permanently. After 5750 performances and 14 years of sold-out crowds, Siegfried and Roy at the Mirage is over. But here's where it gets controversial. Here's where the real story starts. In the days after the attack, everyone asks the same question. Was Montecore trying to kill Roy? Was this a vicious attack? Should the tiger be put down? And Roy Horn, from his hospital bed, barely able to speak, paralyzed on one side, says something that shocks everyone. Montecore didn't attack me. He was trying to save me. Let me say that again. The man who was nearly killed by a tiger defends the animal that almost ended his life. Roy's version of events goes like this. He suffered some kind of medical event on stage. Maybe a minor stroke, maybe a dizzy spell. He started to stumble. Montecore saw his brother in distress and did what tigers do in the wild. He grabbed Roy by the neck to carry him to safety. Roy insists to this day that it wasn't an attack. It was a rescue that went wrong because tigers don't understand that their gentle is life-threatening. And Roy fights to make sure Montecore isn't euthanized. He visits the tiger after recovering. He maintains their bond until Montecore dies of natural causes in 2014. But not everyone buys Roy's story. Animal behavior experts look at the footage and the witness reports and say something different. Jack Hanna, one of America's most famous wildlife experts, reviewed what happened. He says, look, tigers are wild animals, period. You can raise them from birth. You can spend 30 years with them. But they have instincts that go back millions of years of evolution. When Montecore got distracted by movement in the audience, when Roy corrected him, something triggered. Maybe it was prey drive, maybe it was irritation, maybe it was just instinct. And once that instinct kicks in, all the training in the world doesn't matter. Other big cat specialists point out something crucial. If Montecore wanted to kill Roy, Roy would be dead. A tiger that's actually attacking uses crushing bite force that would snap a human spine instantly. The bite Montecore used was a carry bite, designed to transport, not kill. That detail actually supports Roy's version. Montecore wasn't hunting, he was carrying. The problem is, a 380-pound tiger carrying a human by the neck causes catastrophic damage even when the tiger thinks he's being gentle. Then there's the third explanation. The one animal rights groups jump on. PETA and other organizations say this incident proves what they've been saying for years. Wild animals don't belong in entertainment. The stress of performing under hot lights, loud music, crowds yelling, it creates an environment where unpredictable behavior becomes inevitable. They point to other incidents to make their case. December 25th, 2007, Christmas Day at the San Francisco Zoo. A 243-pound Siberian tiger named Tatiana escapes her enclosure. She kills one visitor and mauls 2 others before being shot by police. Investigation reveals the tiger had been taunted by the victims. They'd been throwing things at her, making aggressive gestures for hours before the attack. Even in a zoo, a controlled environment, a wild animal pushed too far will revert to its nature. Or consider what happened to trainer Dawn Brancho at SeaWorld Orlando in 2010. Tilikum, a 12,000-pound orca whale, drags her underwater and kills her during a live performance. Tilikum had been involved in 2 other human deaths before this, but SeaWorld kept using him in shows because he was their prize performer. Dawn's death led to the documentary Blackfish and eventually the end of orca shows at SeaWorld. The pattern is clear. These aren't isolated incidents. They're warnings. When you put wild predators in entertainment settings, when you ask them to perform on schedule regardless of their mood or instinct, when you convince yourself that training equals control, eventually nature wins. So what really happened on October the 3rd, 2003? Here's what we know from the official investigations. OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, investigated. Nevada gaming authorities investigated. The Mirage conducted their own internal review. The findings? No charges filed, no major safety violations found. The show had performed thousands of times without incident. The safety protocols were considered adequate, but they recommended changes. Stronger barriers between animals and audience, more handlers present during big cat performances, better emergency response procedures. What the footage shows, and portions were shown to investigators, even though it's never been fully released to the public, is a tiger that didn't display typical aggressive behavior. No roaring beforehand, no aggressive posturing, no thrashing or continued attack after Roy went down. Animal behaviorists who reviewed it say it looks more like a carry behavior that went tragically wrong than a predatory attack. But here's the thing about wild animals: intent doesn't matter. A tiger being gentle can still kill you. A whale playing can still drown you. A lion protecting you can still tear you apart. Roy Horn survived, but his life was never the same. The last time Siegfried and Roy appeared together publicly was 2009, a charity event. Roy was in a wheelchair. Siegfried stood beside him. They didn't perform, they just appeared. 2 legends, diminished but not defeated. Roy Horn died on May 8, 2020 from COVID-19 complications. He was 75. Siegfried Fischbacher died less than a year later on January 13, 2021 from pancreatic cancer. He was 81. The secret garden at the Mirage, where they kept their beloved tigers, closed permanently in 2002. The era of Siegfried and Roy is over, but the questions remain. Can humans really bond with wild animals, or are we just fooling ourselves? Was Roy's belief in his connection with Manticore real, or was it dangerous delusion? I'll tell you what I think. I think Roy genuinely loved those tigers. I think his bond with them was as real as it could be between a human and a wild predator. I think Manticore probably wasn't trying to kill him, but I also think Roy was wrong about one crucial thing. Love doesn't override nature, training doesn't erase instinct, and no matter how much you believe in your connection with a wild animal, it's still wild. The footage from that night, what exists of it, shows us something uncomfortable. It shows us the exact moment when belief met reality, when confidence met consequence, when magic ended. If you made it this far, you're clearly fascinated by the dangerous side of magic, and trust me, we're just getting started. Hit that subscribe button right now, because next week I'm covering the buried alive trick that went horribly wrong when a magician stayed underground for 8 days, and what happened when they finally opened the coffin was not what anyone expected. Drop a comment below. Do you think Manticore was trying to save Roy, or did instinct take over? Give me your honest take. Smash that like button if you want more real stories from magic's darkest moments. And remember, the most dangerous magic isn't what happens on stage. It's what we convince ourselves is safe. I'll see you in the next one.